everyone, welcome to another Geek and Dorks review. This one has been highly requested over the past few weeks. This is about Making a Murderer, which is a documentary you can now find on Netflix. And in terms of importance, I think it's one of the most important pieces of entertainment, if you can call it that, that has popped up on Netflix. Probably second. Actually, it might even be more important than Blackfish. They're very close, but kind of in a similar way, the exposure that Netflix brought to Blackfish seems to be happening around this Making a Murderer. So let me give you the brief synopsis. This is from imdb.com. Filmed over a 10-year period, Making a Murderer is an unprecedented real-life thriller about Stephen Avery, a DNA exoneree who, while in the midst of exposing corruption in local law enforcement, finds himself the prime suspect in a grisly new crime. Set in America's heartland, the series takes viewers inside a high-stakes criminal case where reputation is everything and things are never as they appear. Boy, is that true. I don't want to get into spoilers, but I know people also want me to talk about actual elements of the case. So the first part of this review, I'm going to stick to essentially the format of this documentary, kind of give you my review on it, then I'll give you another little spoilers warning, and then we'll have a pretty frank discussion about the actual case. Because some people have suggested this could even be an episode of Brain Scratch. I think it could be, except for the fact that this documentary is so good, you need to watch this whole thing. So that's the start of my review. This thing is extremely strong in terms of how it's constructed as a documentary. They pulled together footage from his first case where essentially he was tried for raping a woman, and it was found out 18 years after he was serving time that he wasn't the person that did it. There was an organization that retested the DNA, and they found out it was actually someone else that raped that woman. And what was tough about that case was she was in court, and she actually specifically said that it was this man, Stephen Avery, that had done that to her. So that was a very tough court case for the truth to come out in, but ultimately, years and years later, it did. Now, if you're saying, hey John, that sounds like spoilers, don't tell me anymore, that's really not spoilers. That is literally the start of the madness of this documentary. I can tell you right now, it is rated a 9.3 out of 10 on IMDb. That's one of the highest ratings that I've seen on IMDb. It is being spoken about in news articles. It even popped up as a joke on Undateable last week. There is a lot of exposure coming to this case. There are petitions. There's all kinds of stuff buzzing around this case. So that's kind of another aspect that's cool to it as a documentary or a piece of art, is you can watch this. It's 10 episodes, and each one is a little over an hour, so it's a lot of content. But after you're done watching that story, you can go hit the news feeds and actually find out what's currently going on with these people, which is kind of a, I don't want to say bonus, but is kind of a neat after effect to this documentary. It essentially brings you into this world of all these characters, not only Stephen, but the people that he's butting up against, the people that are helping him, and these are all real world people, so you can go chase down their social media, for example, and see what's going on with them. In its nature, this documentary feels like it's about small town corruption is kind of one way of putting it, more like small town politics. And I have a little bit of personal insight into this. My mother and my brother and sister moved to a very small town in California, and my brother got into a little bit of trouble here or there, and there's this effect that happens where all of a sudden police are literally just on his back everywhere he is. And almost to the point where some people might say he's being harassed. He's not even doing anything wrong. He's going to a local store on an errand to pick up milk for my mother or something like that, and the cops are literally all over him. And even in terms of the brain scratch that I did about Brandon Lawson, some of the new information that's coming out leads me to believe that there's similar things going on there. The rules of law enforcement in a small town don't seem to line up with the rules of law enforcement in larger metropolitan areas. Although some people would say that you could see corruption in both veins there. However, the corruption seems like it's much easier to pull off in small town areas because, quite honestly, there's less witnesses. There's just less people around. There's less to dispute. If you lay out a simple trail of information, it seems like it could be easier in small town environments to mislead authorities and tell them a story that makes them act a particular way, which is a little bit of a hint about what happens in this case. You get to meet this family that just hasn't fit into their small town community. And quite honestly, Stephen's mother is one of the highlights of this this documentary for me. Just the spirit that she has as she's trying to support her son in facing these charges, the sense of humor that she has, and just how humble these people are at their core nature. Is very endearing. There's something that just really captures me about that. So it's filled with a bunch of very interesting small town characters. There is definitely an element of corrupt law enforcement practices going on. And that's, of course, we all know, I talk about this all the time on my channel. That's a big topic nowadays. We have so many stories of potential police corruption, so many stories of abuse of power, and this documentary just fits squarely in that dialogue. I do want to say, don't be put off by the title. It's a bit, not that it's misleading, it could have multiple meanings, and you're not sure which one it really is. There's something about the title that initially just kind of put me off when people first started telling me about it. Hey, John, have you watched Making a Murder? Like, I assumed it was going to be about how to raise a kid badly so that he winds up murdering people, or something like that. Almost like thinking of the kid that shot up the theater that the Batman movie premiered in, or something like that. It is definitely not along those lines. It's much smarter and much deeper, and honestly a whole lot richer than I was giving it credit for off my initial assumption about what the title was. That being said, your friends are probably talking about this. Do yourself a favor, jump on Netflix, check this out. I have to agree with IMDb in terms of documentaries. They don't get much stronger than this. So I would give it a 9 out of 10 as well. If you were a fan of The Jinx or The Staircase in particular, this kind of more closely follows The Staircase, because there's a lot of coverage about the court cases, the defense attorneys, what their approaches are. So yeah, if you're a fan of The Staircase, I'm pretty sure you're going to be a huge fan of Making a Murderer. But even if you don't know about The Jinx or The Staircase, even if this is the first time you've heard of this, I'm telling you, your local news is talking about it, your friends are talking about it. This is a bit of a cultural phenomenon, and I think that you really should take the time, invest the 10 hours, and come up with your own opinion about what's going on in this case. It's really, really compelling. A very good watch. Some people could say it's a little bit slow in places, but I think that's just that's done artistically to kind of give you a feeling of what this pace of life is like in this area of Wisconsin. So, highly enjoyed it. Highly enjoyed it. Now, here is your official spoiler warning.